Yes. So welcome everyone for the first meeting for this year. So this year we again want to replicate what we did last year, probably with the better sessions, more people joining, and have more opportunities to learn. Yeah. So before we start with the session, I just want to emphasize on on a normal or the usual learning places where we should go first. If we are not yet expert, SAP has given learning.sap.com, which is very good. I think after a long time we have got some platform where we can actually go and ex execute step by step the learning journey, and by the time we finish, we should be ready for the certification. I think there are six topics as of now, six learning journeys. And I think it's worth to do them, especially for the BTP extension suite one, which is one which I have started. I am trying to do others also. If you are into HANA development or low code, no code, I think it's really worth to start your journey there if you're not at the expert level. Yeah, and apart from that, I think Open SAP remains one of the best places to go and learn. Yeah, at least my favorite place. We had in the and during the end of last year, we had very good sessions there. One for the workflow management, where in the session, yeah, there are really new capabilities that you will get to learn, like BTP business rules, which you can deploy to S/4HANA, and then you can actually have workflows, workflow deployment to S/4HANA as well. So I think these are the things which will really come handy, or which will really will be used in the future. As SAP provides more and more out of the box solutions, we can expect their more usage. Yeah, so these are things that I would say keep your eye open for. Apart from that, in S/4HANA, I see after the TechEd a lot of emphasis on embedded steampunk. So I think RAP is the way to go. Yeah, so this year, if we can get very some good sessions on RAP again, we covered RAP in the last year as well. Yeah, but we would like to cover it this year again. Yeah, so as a app developers, if you have been a app developer, yeah, RAP is the way to go for now. So RAP is going to be something which would be must learn for everyone, because most of the development is happening on on-premise. Yeah, and on on-premise you can actually use RAP. Yeah, CAP is also one of the most celebrated framework from SAP, but not many people get the opportunity to work in CAP, because CAP is obviously BTP development. But yeah, RAP is going to use for even for on-premise development, so it will have much more adoption, I believe. Yeah, so we can just keep our eyes, ears open for these topics, for now in this year at least. Once we build on these topics, there are, yeah, many more other topics as well. But this is what I could make out from various discussion. Yeah, so this should be the focus for this year, RAP, and then BTP services, there out of the box integration and all. Yeah, these things we should consider. So if anyone else has some good learning platform or good learning journey they have followed, or learning tricks they have, please feel free to share. Otherwise, we will just give the platform to Vishal. Yeah, we won't keep this meeting open for like 2 hours today, because we have only one session. But yeah, before that, yeah, this is an opportunity to talk to your, Stammtisch India mm, colleagues, or you can say Stammtisch India people now. Yeah, this is what this platform is for. And I see most of the people that I see here, they have joined earlier as well. And just to give a very short introduction of the event, yeah, we plan to have this event on the third Saturday of every month, 12 to 1 or 12 to 2. And we had it last year as well, where we plan to cover a lot of new topics related to SAP technology. We want to make it a platform where all the SAP consultants can come and discuss and make new friends, make new contacts. You know that who is a expert in what thing. Yeah, for me, it has really helped me through this platform. I got to know Mohit, Vishal, Akash, and I really talk to them on my personal level as well. Yeah, which is really nice. So, if anything related to Fury architecture and all, myself and Mohit talk a lot. These are the things that we want people to get out of this platform. And now, since after this COVID wave, as things open up, it would be opportunity for the location-based meetups as well. Like if a lot of people are from Bangalore, they can really get together in Bangalore. They can, for 1 hour on a weekend, probably uh, get together in a food court somewhere and talk about anything. Have a cup, have a pint of beer, something like that, if you like that. So there are a lot of opportunities. We are not limiting anything here, but just trying to provide a platform. No paid promotions. We are not going to ask you to sign up somewhere. That is for sure. Yeah, we are not going to earn anything out of it. That is for sure. That that is what we had decided on when we started with it. So any questions if you have regarding the event or our future plans and all, this is the time to discuss. But apart from that, I would like to request people to come forward and give some sessions here. Uh, this really helps to build your repo in the community, or and also uh, help you with your self confidence and all. Those things matter a lot. And as you uh, what I have learned, that as you commit to giving one session and all, you have to read it thoroughly. You have to prepare for it, and in that process, you learn. Yeah, so it is never like that. First you learn everything, and then you say, I will give the session. Probably, I would say, bat on the front foot. Say that, yeah, I will give a session on it. Then you have like 1 month to prepare for it. And if session doesn't go well, you're not able to answer some questions, we're not going to ruin your year-end assessment, right? So that is where it helps, so you can make mistakes here, and this is a platform to try out various things. So this is what we want to do here, and yeah, not taking much time now, giving the platform to Vishal, who has very graciously approached me that he want to give some session. Yeah, thank you, Vishal. Yeah, over to you, Vishal.
Yeah, thanks, Gaurav. So welcome everyone to yet another session. Yeah, so I mean, in this one, I'll be, even if you're not comfortable with building up cloud native apps, I have made sure that, if you just follow the steps what I have, given in the PPT. I mean, I'll be sharing the PPT, right after this, or maybe, on some GitHub if this group does have. I think we do have. So I'll be putting up that PPT, and if even if you're new, I'm sure that you will be able to follow, and please feel free to pitch in whenever you have any doubts in between the session. And it's because it's going to be all real time, so it might not work. I have not prepared any backup, but yeah, hopefully things will be fine. Yeah, so okay, I'll start sharing. Okay. Yeah. So I have shared it. Let me know once it's visible.
Yes, we can see.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know what's this, but yeah. Okay, so I have opened the PPT to start up with. So we'll be going through the steps. Basically, how do you create a cloud native app? So when we say cloud native app, it's fully accessible all over the internet. So you don't have to use any of those cloud connectors and all such stuff. So it's fully accessible. Anyone can access it, provided you're in the you have access to the global account. So yeah, so I'll be creating the CAP, cloud native app using the cloud application programming model. So now this cloud application programming model has two ways. So one of them is using Java, and the other one is using Node.js. So but yeah, I'll be using Node.js because it's easier to learn rather than learning the whole Java as such. So yeah, so these will be our steps. So I'll be telling you how do you set up, what sort of environment you need to have. If you want to develop any CAP app, what sort of tools you would be needing. And yeah, once you have seen that, then we'll be jumping into the actual steps. So the actual step will start with the creation of the CAP service. Where I'll be having some data model, and I'll be putting in some data, and yeah, and then ultimately our OData service will be ready. And the third one, I mean, the next step would be adding up the UI. So you'll be using the Fury UI. So CAP is not just restricted to Fury UI. You can also have Vue.js, React.js, even plain HTML apps. Yeah. So, but yeah, because SAP is mainly using Fury, and yeah, so we'll be going with the Fury UI. And yeah, final step will be to build and deploy. So if you see just three steps, and and the whole framework will take care of creating up the necessary boilerplate code. Yeah. So now why should we go for CAP? So it helps us to build the cloud native full stack applications. Backend, front end, OData, everything will be there if you use this model, and it follows the best practices, whatever SAP suggests. Because SAP's focus is, our focus as a developer should be on the more on the business logic rather than on the technicalities. So it removes the barriers who are not so tech savvy. Yeah, who are not so tech savvy developers, so they can also follow this. And yeah, like I said, it avoids the boilerplate code. So underlying how a CAP is building, uh, you know uh, so basically it's using a Node.js module known as Express. So basically, if you have to serve our data service, you need to first build up your server. Not just our data service, any kind of REST API, you will typically build up your server, and then you start exposing your API endpoints. Yeah, and then this is where you'll have a lot of boilerplate code. Yeah, in terms of Express server setting up. So what CAP avoids is, it is just wrapping up over this Express module. So yeah, again, we need not learn the Express module. And yeah, it meets. So if you use this cloud application programming model, it meets the cloud qualities. So it has everything in place. You can have authorization, authentication, microservice-based approach. So basically, what essentially is a microservice. So your app is not having everything, which is all fully tightly coupled. You have individual microservices. So you can have one microservice for your, let's say, your service, one microservice for your UI, one microservice which just deals with the authorization and authentication. So that way your whole app is divided into microservices approach, and that way you can individually scale up, or for that matter scale down as well, your individual microservice if the requirement is there. Yeah. And then yeah, if you are not still happy, because if you're using this CAP framework, it will be providing you the basic functionality out of the box. But if you're still not happy, you can definitely customize the the functionality via the custom handlers. Again, I will not be going into custom handlers because that will be too much, because this session is mainly focusing on the for the folks who are new to CAP, and who just want to get their hand dirty on building their first cloud native app. So, but yeah, if the requirement is there, you can always write the custom logic. And if you want to consume any third-party external service, you can do it via the service SDK. So the service SDK is there in Node.js as well as in Java. And like I said, it supports Fury and other technologies also. And it's very much compatible with HANA and other DBs. What I know is SQLite and PostgreSQL. So these three, I mean HANA, PostgreSQL, and SQLite. So I have seen a lot of people are using CAP along with PostgreSQL also. Okay, and yeah, so what all do we have? We have in this programming model basically three folders: DB folder, service folder, and your actual app folder. So in DB, you will define your data models. Yeah, define your data models in the DB folder. Again, using CDS. So basically, I hope everybody, anyways, is familiar with CDS. So over here, SAP is also using a lot of CDS definitions. Yeah, be it for the data model, which you put it in the DB folder. Also, you can use CDS for defining your OData services. So syntactically, it's still CDS. Yeah. And like I said, you can add custom logic. For that, you have to write code in Node.js or Java, and you can also leverage the service SDKs. And yeah, similarly for consumption of third-party services. And finally, you can add UIs. Either you will do it if you're going for Fury UI, you will do it via CDS annotations, or you can also have a completely freestyle app using any of your uh, preferred UI technologies. So please feel free to come in if you have any doubts. So how do we start developing any CAP app? So you have two options. So one of them is using the local development. So when I say local development, you want to do it right there in your personal laptop. You don't want to go over internet, because sometimes what might happen is that your internet is down or something. You're traveling somewhere. So then in that case, we always prefer to work locally. Uh, and yeah, it's a little bit faster also. That's what my observation has been. And yeah, the second approach is using the bash. Yeah. So if you want to do it local development in your VS Code, what all tools you would be needing? You would need the Node.js. So you can download the stable version of Node.js from this website I've given in the link. And then the uh, second tool you will be needing is CFCLI, yeah, Cloud Foundry CLI. So if you want to, because ultimately when you're building any cloud native app, you will deploy it somewhere. Yeah. So in this case, we'll be using SAP's Cloud Foundry environment. So if you have to deploy there, you need this CFCLI installed in your laptop. And because we are going for CAP, so you also need the CAP tooling. So how do you install it? You typically, you just say npm install. So if you have to install any of the Node.js modules, so how does Node.js work? It typically has modules, or so to say packages, for any kind of functionality. If you want to read files, you have file system package. If you want to create a server, you have express module. So it has all the modules or packages, right, available for you. So you for our CAP uh, CAP uh, CAP sorry cloud application programming model, you need this CAP tooling to be installed in your PC. So you can install it via npm install, and you say minus minus global or minus G. So moment you say minus global, you want to install it globally so that any of your projects can use it. And then you give in this module name, which is @SAP/CDS-DK. So this module, CDS development kit, is in the SAP's namespace. Yeah, so that's why you have this prefix of @SAP. And then because you will be developing in the VS Code, so you can install this CDS language support pack. So which is basically will be helping you in syntax highlighting and auto completion. So you can install the CDS language support pack. So you open your Visual Studio Code, and you can install this extension. And the last extension which you need is the Fury tools. So if you use this Fury tools extension pack, you can have, your Fury UIs up and ready, with with lot of options. If you're going for example, for the Fury elements, you have a lot of templates. You have things like guided development. So all such quick things can be done via this Fury tools extension pack. But yeah, so the next option which we'll be using today will be the bash, because otherwise I'll be have to invest a lot of time in installing this. I have it installed in my personal laptop, but there is there are certain steps which are quite easier to do it in bash, yeah, rather than compared to VS Code. Yeah, because SAP is investing a lot in this bash tool. But yeah, it's your choice. What you can do is that you can create a project in bash and then move it over in your VS Code. Yeah, if you want to work offline. So in case of bash, what you need, nothing much. So you just need to have your trial account created. uh, then the next step is to create a dev space. So we all need some sort of development space, like you have it in the Eclipse, so that you can build your applications. And then the third thing which you need is the HANA Cloud instance. So because we'll be ultimately, uh, your whole database artifacts will be getting deployed to this HANA Cloud instance. So you need to also have this HANA Cloud up and running in your trial account. Yeah. So before I jump in, I'll just show you. Uh, if you go to your trial account, this is my trial account. I have already set up this HANA Cloud. Yeah. So if you go to your sub account, and if you go to your development space, you have this HANA Cloud option. Yeah. So HANA Cloud is available as a service. And if you just click over there, so for you, it might not be there. Usually setting up this takes a lot of time. So I've already set this up before this meeting. So, you need to just click on create and, create the HANA database, and then ultimately your HANA Cloud instance will be up and running. Yeah. And one more thing. So if because you're using trial, so this database instance gets, stopped every day. So, please make sure if you're running it in trial account, you have it up and running before you actually start, development. So, so if you go to this manage HANA Cloud, so how do you set this up and running? So let's say it gets stopped, the next day you come in. So you just need to go over here, and, it will list your HANA database instance. Okay. So let it load, and there, from the menu over here in this row, uh, you can just start it. Yeah, but yeah, so it is already started for us. Okay, if you just hit go, sometimes it does not show. Let me just refresh, because it's trial, so it behaves a little weird. But yeah, you see, it's up and running. So you can always come over here and you just say, start or stop. Yeah, and then next, what you need is the business application studio. So you should be already subscribed to that before you start any development in bash. So you go to instance and subscriptions, and here you see I've already subscribed to it. And moment you say, you go to this application, so it will launch. Yeah. So it will show you all the dev spaces which you have created. If in case you haven't, you can always click upon create, and then you will have your dev space over here. Yeah. So it's already running for me. So the moment you click upon this dev space name, this is my dev space name. You can see your dev space. So this is my development space. Yeah. It's similar to, VS Code. Yeah. So now let's directly come and, start with our cloud application programming project. Yeah. So the scenario is, so we are trying to build an application called Office Supplies. I could not come up with any, because I wanted to keep it really simple. So in this Office Supplies application, you can see what all Office supplies are available. Who are the suppliers for your office equipment. Yeah. So you have products entity, and then you have suppliers entity. Very simple, nothing complex. So now how do we get started? So you need to create the project folder and then do a CDS init. So what is the CDS init? So it's similar. You are basically initializing your project via the CDS init command. So it is similar to npm init. So if you have to create any Node.js project, you always do npm init. Similar to it, SAP has given CDS init. Yeah. So then it will create your basic folders, your database folder, service folder, and the app folder. And the next step, okay, let's do it, and then maybe it will be better. So I'll come over here. Okay. So sorry, I'll just create a new folder, and let's put it, yeah, demo2. So it will create uh, the folder. I hope it is connected. Okay, let me refresh this.
Vishal, can we consume npm JS packages which are available over the internet in CAP development?
Yeah. So you can, so it's a, after you have, let's say, created your CAP project, and you can write in your custom handlers, your custom JS files. Yes, you can use. You just need to go to your package JSON file and add the relevant package as dependency.
Are there any guidelines from security perspective? Those are like open source codes, right?
I mean, see, ultimately, this CAP model is also relying upon those open source modules like Express, file system. All those are open source. So I have not seen any, hard stop people are using.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Gaurav.
obviously, we
So
should try to go for, SAP's namespace modules, like which are in @SAP namespace, only those modules wherever possible.
generally, Gaurav, there is no hard and fixed guidelines for this. But generally, from the best practices point of view, we just go to the node, basically their website, and just see the weekly downloads. If the weekly downloads shows at least a good number, more than thousands or some maybe couple of thousands and these things, then we can
Okay, so let
use
me go
it
here.
without any security issue. Yeah.
Yeah, let me do it
Uh,
from here.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I will be comfortable doing that because from a penetration testing perspective, it is supposedly a security vulnerability. But yeah, I take your point, Mohit. It's it
Yes.
is good for probably uh, POC purposes, but I'm not sure. Yeah, if it is if we can do that for productive use,
Yeah. So
maybe I'm not yeah
yeah, so basically,
so
Sham,
sure.
what I understand from my this experience from the Node.js, there is very thin line for this thing, because there is no hard and fixed guidelines which package we need to use it, and which are ready for the production. So generally, recommendation if there the weekly downloads is in a very high
Yeah,
number, so we can use it. Yeah,
yeah.
but I
Okay,
take your point. Yeah, sure, Sham.
okay. So let's just initialize the project. So I've just created a folder, and moment I do CDS init, so you will see some folders which are getting added, like app folder, DB folder, and your service folder. So like I just told that in DB folder, you will have your data models defined. Yeah. And in service folder, you'll be exposing the entities as an OData service. And in app folder, you can have your, the basically the launching point of your app. Yeah. It can be UI and anything which you want in your app folder. Okay. So now I'll be adding the data model. So let's just say new file. So in usually in DB and service, for basically your data models and the entities which you want to expose, you will usually create a CDS file. Yeah. So I'll put it like schema.cds. And so I don't want to waste a lot of time, so I'll just copy it so that we are not wasting time on this. But yeah, I'll explain. So if you see, this is my namespace. It's not mandatory, but just to have your data model consistent. You don't want to it's better to use a namespace. So this, and I have two entities over here, products and suppliers. Yeah, and these two entities will come in this namespace. Yeah, and I'm making use of a standard entity called currency, which is delivered by SAP itself. If you just do a a control click, you can see what all entities are already provided in the CDS file by SAP. Yeah, you see uh, currency is already there. Yeah, so because you have price coming in, and which will need to have the currency associated, so I'm making use of a standard currency entity from this package. And so we have two entities, entity products. In this, my key field is ID. Usually, nowadays you'll give UUIDs. Uh, and UUID is the data type of this ID field, and you have all these fields. And if you see for title and description, the data type is string. Also, we have put in this option called localized, because you can have the values of these fields in different languages. So we always prefix the data type with localized for any of your text fields. And then we have this price field, which is the decimal field. So, and if you see, we also have a supplier, which is an association. So we have association and composition, two kinds of things in when we define a data model, because these two entities, products and suppliers, can exist independently. So we're just having an association. Yeah, so I mean, I think people would be already knowing what is the idea of association in CDS views. And this is my second entity. Yeah, okay, fine. So now the next step is to uh, add the service. So now that we have defined a data model, let's add let's create the Odata service. So then let's just again right click and say new file, and I'll give my service file name as, let's say, if this applies, service.cds, again a CDS file. And let me again bring in some content, and I'll remove complex stuff right now. Okay, so it's pretty simple file, but let me first delete these things. Yeah, so if you see, I'm making use of my data model, which was in this schema file. So we are just getting the the whole entities, and we're giving an alias called DB. So in this uh, DB object, we are having two entities, products and suppliers, which we just defined in the schema, and we are just exposing them. So this is our service, which we want to create. This is our OData service name. Yeah, so pretty simple. And now next step is, before we go further, let's just install all the dependencies. So if you go to package.json, so it needs Express, like I said, for the creation of your server, and there is this dev dependency. So in Node.js, you can have normal dependencies as well as dev dependencies. So dev dependencies are the ones which are which are basically used for testing and all. Yeah, they're not really required in basically for the whole project to run. So basically, we use this SQLite database for local testing, but when it comes to Cloud Foundry, we'll be obviously using the HANA database. So to install these dependencies, let's just run this command npm install. So it will see this package.json file and start installing all the dependencies. Okay. So you see, we are done with npm install. So next step is CDS watch. So what it does, it is basically, it will start running your project. So if you go to your package.json, yeah, we are anyways here. So if you see, we have this start script, yeah. So you can also do CDS run, yeah. If you just do CDS run, it will start your, the whole project, yeah. So you see now, so it is reading your schema, it is reading your service, and then it is serving an endpoint on this server. So if you do CDS run, it will start doing that. But I wanted to show you the different, rather than using the CDS run, we can also go for CDS watch. So what happens is it will keep on tracking if you're changing anything in your project, and you don't have to, stop your server and restart. So it automatically keeps a track. So moment you do CDS watch, it is similar to NodeMon. So those who know Node.js, so we used to have this NodeMon. So it's a similar thing, yeah. So now it says that, your service is ready and it's listening on this port. So let's just open it. So you see you have, your entities and your metadata. Let's see if it works. So the metadata works. And if you go to your product entity, there's no data, but yeah, it works. Similar for suppliers. So next step is to just load the, data. So what I will do for that, so, SAP has given very convenient feature. You can just create some CSV files, and then then your entities will be loaded with the data. So let's just create a new folder called data. And then there is this usual naming convention. If you see, the naming convention is your CSV file should be like namespace hyphen your entity name. So our namespace was, if you remember, it was office supplies or TB. Yeah. So same way you need to have the CSV file. So in this data folder, now let's just give the CSV file names. So supplies.db. So hyphen your entity name. So we have 3 entities. Actually, we have 2, but internally it is also make use of a currency entity. So let's even, give the data for that. Products.csv. So, okay, let's just first create those files, and then I'll put in the data. And then the next is suppliers. And if you see, closely observe, it is, watching what you're essentially doing. Yeah. So the moment you make any change in your project, you don't have to stop the server and start again. CDS watch is doing the things for us. And the next and the final one is your currency. Okay. Currencies.csv. Yeah. So now let me just put in the data. Okay. So we are in the currencies. Let me grab some data. So it's a normal CSV file. And let me now give the data for the products. And then let's just give the data for the suppliers. Yeah. So our data model is ready. Our service is ready. Let's just see. Now let's try to run this again. Control click. And let's just see if we get some data. Yeah, you see, out of the box, everything is there for us. In fact, it's not just read. So, if you want to test, you can, the full CRUD functionality is fully supported, and we didn't have to write even a single line of code. So let me just show you that even the association is working. So our association name is supplier. And you see, every product gets expanded with the supplier data. Yeah. So you see, we didn't have to do much of the stuff. So now our full, our whole data model and the service is ready. Basic stuff is ready. Yeah. So we are here. So now the next thing is, if you see when we were talking about that, we should create cloud native apps, in terms of microservices. So we call those apps as multi-target applications, yeah, or the MTARs, yeah. So your individual application can be in, your your individual microservice can be in any technology. But over here, most of the things are in Node.js. But you can have one microservice in Node.js, one in ABAP, one in Java, one in Go language, any language you want to build. So now, so we want to create a multi-target app. We want to convert this app into a multi-target app, and we also need something known as app router. So now, what is the job of app router? So, moment someone runs your app, to which URL it should go. Let's say you have 5 microservices, one for the one for the service, one for the UI, one for, let's say, some other stuff. So you have lot many microservices, but to which microservice should you go to when you given some route? For example, in your UFI app, you used to have patterns defined. Similar thing. So this app router takes care of routing to individual microservice. So we need to add this app router. So again, app router is a Node.js module, which SAP has given. So let's do these 2 steps. So what we have to do, we have one more thing known as, if you want to have HANA capabilities, you also need to do this CDS add HANA. So right now, if you go to your package.json, and if you see over here, we just have this dev dependency SQLite, right? And if you just come up, it is running in memory. You see, database is in memory. Yeah, so it's not making use of HANA at all, right? So let's just add the HANA capabilities to our project, and you say CDS add HANA. And now if you observe, your package JSON will get updated. You have this Hdb module added, and similarly, it has added these lines. Yeah. So our deployment format for HDB, HANA database artifacts will be HDB table, and it requires a DB of kind SQL. Yeah. So you might think like, is it supporting HANA or SQLite? So moment is SQL, it is actually supporting both. If you're running it locally in your bash, you are making use of your SQLite, or your in-memory database. But if you moment to deploy it, you will make use of HANA. So this kind SQL is basically supporting both. And it has added this HDB module. So the job of this HDB module is to take your database, and any other artifacts, CDS artifacts, and deploy it to the HANA database. So that's the job of this module. Yeah. So let's come back. So we have added the HANA capabilities. Now, because we want to have a multi-target application, we need to add this MTA. Yeah, we need to run this command cds add MTA. Yeah, and what will happen is it will create a file called mta.yaml. Yeah, so that this file will be holding all of your microservices. So let's just say cds add MTA. Yeah, just observe over here. You will have one file. Yeah, you see MTA file. So now, so this file is a little complex, but yeah, let's go through it. So if you see, it has 2 modules. Yeah, and one resource. Yeah, so in general, in any of your microservice based apps, you will have modules and services or resources. So so modules might need some resources. Yeah, so right now in our app, we have this service module, which is basically your Odata service, and then you have this DB deployer module. The job of this module is to deploy your database artifacts to the HANA database. Yeah, so you have 2 modules, and then you have this demo to -db, which is basically talking to the HTI container. Yeah, so in your in your account, in your sub account, in your Cloud Foundry namespace, you have this HTI container service. So it is also making use of that service. Yeah, and so if you just expand this, your service, this module is a Node.js type module, and it will make use of Node.js buildback. Basically, it's just the runtime of Node.js, and then it needs, because your service would obviously need the DB. Yeah, so it is this demo to DB. So you see, your module is requiring the services, or the resources which we have defined over here. And the next one is DB deployer module, the second module, and it also needs a DB, right? So that it will deploy the DB artifacts. So currently we have two modules. Yeah, let's see the next step. So you see we have our MTA file ready. The next step is to add another microservice called app router. Yeah. So how do you do it? Again, it's very easy in Bash. So you just right click
Charles,
upon your YAML.
is that HDI container already created?
Uh, no, it's still not. It is just giving it a name. So moment, I deploy this app to the Cloud Foundry, then it will get created.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, it is just saying that, it will bind to this uh, service. Yeah, once you deploy. So far it's all, we are just doing the DUL and we have not deployed anything. Yeah. So next step is to add the app router. Yeah. So now actually speaking, there are two kinds of app routers. One is standalone app router, and then the latest thing which has come is the managed app router. So the choice is yours, which we want to use. But I think because we are learning, so in this one I'll make use of the standalone app routers. So which is in another Node.js module. So you just right click upon your MTA file and you say create MTA module from temp. You see you have this app router configuration. Yeah. You just choose this and say start. And you see now it asks what sort of app router you want. I will say standalone. So standalone app router will be right there in your project. But moment you go for manage app router, you don't see that. It will be managed by the Cloud Foundry. Yeah, and then it's asking, it's asking some questions. Do you want that authentication? Yes. So let's not worry about authentication, but yeah, at least we'll say that we will be adding authentication later on. And yes, we also plan to add the UI. Yeah, and just say next. So you see it is adding that uh, another microservice app router, and I think it's done. Yeah, you see another module got added, and if you go over here, it is a node module. You see, if you go to the package.json of this node module, it needs the app router, SAP's app router. Yeah. So now, our project structure is getting little complicated. It has DB, it has app, it has service, right? So and if you see currently in the app folder, we don't have anything, right? So usually the starting point of your application is your app router, yeah? Because this module will be ultimately, calling your individual microservices. So let's just delete this app folder. Anyways, you don't have anything over here. So let's just delete it. Yeah. And now maybe we can rename it to app, yeah, because this is our starting point, so I can always put it as app. Let's just rename it and give it a name called app. Yeah. So this microservice would have been added in your empty YAML file. So let's change the name over there. I mean, if not the name, at least the path. So if you see now, we had previously service and DB deployer module. Now it has added the app router. Yeah, this. Yeah, so now, but I have renamed it to app. So my path has changed to app. And because if you remember, we chose the option that do you want to deploy it. I mean, do you plan to add authentication? We said yes. So it has added a dependency on this UA underscore demo. I'll come to this later on, but it's another service which is used for authorization and authentication. And then it also needs this repo runtime. Yeah. So why do we need this repo runtime service? Okay, you see one more called repo host. So these two, repo host and repo runtime, they are responsible for holding and giving the necessary runtime for your HTML5 app. So moment you add UI, it has to be hosted somewhere. So so this service, this repo host service will be ultimately holding your UI. So your UI, your Fiori app will ultimately get deployed as an HTML5 app. So we need these two things also. So if you come over here, previously we had DB, now you see runtime, and I mean, we'll come to this authentication later on, and you also have this repo host. Yeah. So where we are, so yeah, we are done with, so it adds app router and UI deployer module. Yeah. Now we have also renamed it, delete the app. I think we are kind of done. So now let's add the UI. Yeah. So for adding UI, I'll be using, you will be adding the UI in your app folder. Yeah. So what you have to do, I mean, I'll be going for the easiest option. I'll be creating a Fiori Elements app. You just go to View and Find command and just type in Fiori. Yeah, it will show you all the options which are possible. Yeah, you see a lot of options, but I'll be going with this application generator. Yeah, so I'll be going ahead with the list report template. So let it load. So you see we're going for Fiori elements. You have also this freestyle option. So, and then I'll use this list report object page, say next. And then you need to choose your data source. So my data source is going to be, we are not having any backend over here. It's my all, local project, right? So my data source is in my local CAP project. Yeah, you say use a local CAP project. And here you need to give your project path. So it will basically, start searching for this SRV folder. So I'll give the root and demo2 and let's just say open. And it will load, it will check, okay, we have SRV folder and therein have we defined any Odata service. So, okay, it's not visible, but yeah, let me choose. You see, it has picked up your Odata service called Office Supply Service. And you say next, you need to choose your entity. Let me choose suppliers and there is an association to the products. So let me choose products. Yeah. And yeah, so I don't want to write a lot of annotations. So I'll be, just saying, okay, yeah, please do add the initial, table list page at least. Yeah. And small object page. Yeah. So I'm just saying, yeah, please, go ahead and start adding up initial annotations. I will not be writing the annotations. Yeah. So this will automatically, give us some basic annotations. And then you give the module name. So which is yet another microservice. So I'll put it like Office Supplies. And you can say manage Office Supplies. So I'll not give any namespace so that we don't get confused. But yeah, obviously in your real-time projects, you have to give a namespace. Let's give the description. And yeah, UI version 1.97. So you see, do you want to add this as a microservice in your MTA file? I say yes. Yeah. So, and then let's not make use of any Fiori Launchpad. Yeah, because I just want to, run the app via the app router. Configure advanced option. Okay, let's choose the latest theme which SAP has released, the Horizon theme. Yeah. And yeah, I think so. Let's keep it default and say next. And, it's asking where we'll be deploying in the Cloud Foundry. And we don't have any destination, yeah, because it's all local. So because my UI is making use of the local Odata service. Yeah, that's what we had kept local there, the destination. Okay, so it is installing some dependencies. So now if you see in your app folder, it has added this, your Fiori app. Yeah. So, and if you see, because we said, okay, create some annotations. So what it has done is, okay, it has added this line item annotations. Yeah. Very basic annotations. So let's not, go into deep. So our another microservice is ready and it has installed all the modules. Yeah. So your Fiori app is also a Node.js, yeah, project. You see, it has all of these dependencies. Yeah. Okay, let's not go there. I think you would be already knowing. So, and then it opens this tab where it says that, okay, it has already, created the project. If you want to preview, you can very well preview now your Fiori app. Okay, let's just do it. So I will again do that. I think it got stopped. CDS watch. So previously we were only having the Odata service. Now we should also have the Fiori app up and running. So let's open it in new tab. And now you see you have some web applications also ready. Yeah. So let's open this index HTML. Your tile and all, everything looks fine. And this is our suppliers data. Yeah, see all of these are suppliers, and these are object page. Yeah, so I mean, it looks very basic, but yeah, overall idea is to just go through the steps. Yeah, so your Fiori app also looks fine now. So now what next? I think we are done, and our app is working. We have tested locally, and let's just check it again. Empty YAML. Yeah, okay. We need to do one more change. So you know what usually happens is that your app router is also now holding your UI. Yeah, this app folder is having app router as well as the UI, right? So then you know this might need some more memory. So let's increase the memory. Let's give it 512 MB. Yeah. So I think we are ready for the deployment. Yeah. So yeah, so next step is to build and deploy. Yeah. So if you're doing it locally, you need another module known as MBT, but because we're doing it in Bash, we don't need to worry about this. So how do you build? You just right click on your MTA file and start building. Yeah. So right click and say build MTA project. So what will happen is it will create an mtar file, which is basically, you know, kind of a zipped thing. So it's an uh, those who know Java, kind of a war file. So it will create a folder called, I think, mtar archive. Yeah. So if you see this, it is basically running, it is building, and it will create one more folder known as gen. Yeah. So this gen folder is the one which will be getting deployed to your HANA database. Yeah. So it will build your project. Yeah. And after you deploy, it will make use of this gen folder also. So it is going to take some time. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Hi Vishal.
Yeah,
So, like in sometime a real project, like one developer would be working on the DB objects, one would be
yeah,
explicitly working on the service, and one I would be assigning majorly for the UI person. So, how
hmm,
we are integrating these microservices from the different CAPM based project are in the same projects also. So, do we need to explicitly create the destination for those services? Suppose I have one CAPM project which contains all the microservices, and I want to utilize those services
hmm,
uh, into my
differently.
other
Another
UI
project.
project. Yeah. So
Yeah.
do I need to create the separate destination with respect to the deployed URL
Yes.
and
Yes.
to consume it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're right.
so
So
is this
basically,
the
it
correct approach?
depends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it will be a slightly different approach. So you know what you're saying essentially, if I've got it, is that you want your your service and app differently, like we used to do it in your app world, right? So you can
Mm-hmm.
do it. So one of the developers is responsible for just the creation of service, and then what will happen is that you need to ultimately your service will have an endpoint, right? So via that endpoint, you will need to create a destination, and that destination you will be making use in your in your
App
UI
router,
app. Yeah, yeah.
UI
So
app
you can always
via
split.
app router.
Yes. I mean, it's up to you. You want to make use of app router or managed app
Yeah.
router, however you want.
One
You can
challenge,
also.
yeah, one challenge I am facing with this approach for testing app locally. I need to always
Ah,
deploy it. In fact, I am using
yeah,
the
yeah,
default
yeah.
environment .json
Yes,
and just
yes.
copies all the vcap.json
Yeah,
from
yeah.
there to here. But still, I am always facing a problem for the
Hmm.
locally testing. So, is there any approach you would like to mention for the local testing before
Yeah,
deploying it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I wanted to keep it simpler, but since I've asked, yeah, you can always, do it local testing. So what you have to do, like you said, you will create an environment.json file and you give in the vcap variables. You bind it to your services locally over here. You can make use of this. Where does that go? There's one, but I think this icon. Yeah, you can bind your applications and services. Yeah, so sorry, uses your application, you can always bind it.
Yeah, but still, I'm not sure it's not working with the local testing if we are using the CAPM project. Let's connect maybe offline and we can
Yeah,
discuss on
I'm
more
also
on
not
this.
a fully expert, but yeah,
No,
definitely whatever I know, I'll check in. Yeah. So basically, overall idea is if you want to check
yeah.
locally, for those who are, I'm not sure if people are able to understand this, but yeah, basically, if you want to test it locally, you have to have, environment.json file, which will basically contains the credentials to your, service instances, so that your application is able to talk to those service instances, and then it will make use of that default env.json file. But yeah, let's not, I think we can discuss it, more definitely later on. Okay, so our build is fine. You see, it has created this empty archive, and now, so before we, deploy, I just want to make sure that I'm logged in. Okay, yeah, we didn't log in. So now you need to make use of this CF, CLI commands. So first command is CF login, yeah, which will basically give you the API endpoint, where you want to connect. So if you go to your, I hope it's still there. Yeah. So if you go to your sub account, it will tell you your Cloud Foundry, environment endpoint. So we are trying to connect to that Cloud Foundry runtime. So how do you do it? You just say CF login. It will, it will automatically pick up the API endpoint. If it does not pick up, you have this option of specifying it CF login -a or -a, and then you give your API endpoint name. If it does not pick up via CF login directly. Yeah, next step is to give in your email ID. So let me just give your password. So now it is connected to your Cloud Foundry, yeah, and it has picked up the dev space. I mean, obviously there are a lot of options. You have dev quality and product. You can individually connect to your dev space, yeah. So I want to deploy my app to this dev space. Okay, so okay, maybe in the overview I should have that. Yeah, this is the API endpoint of your Cloud Foundry. Yeah, this is what you gave over here. Yeah. Okay, so it's connected. So now let's just deploy. Again, this also takes little time. I hope everything goes well. And let's see where we are right now. So we have done this, and we
So
can take.
Vishal, sorry to interrupt you. So
Yeah.
when deploying something, like in typical SAP, we transport it from DQP, right? So but in cloud environment, we would have a different environments altogether, development, quality, and production. So do we have to
Mm-hmm.
deploy them individually in, or do we
No,
have
no,
the
no. You
option?
can make use of all such, CI/CD pipelines, which will move from dev to quality. And if you have something special, for example, in your dev, you would like to keep those CSV files, right? And just
Hmm.
because you're testing. So that way I was saying. But yeah, definitely you need to make use of CI/CD pipelines if you want to transport your content from dev to quality.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's.
Akash. So just to add one line here. If you don't have the CI/CD setup here, so maybe our administrator who have those access to those guys, we give the entire file either
Yeah.
from the Git or something, and via their CMD prompt, they can just log in the way like the CMD login, and they can just deploy. So we can use the command like a CF deploy, and we can give the name of our mtar file, and it will be deployed in that respective system.
Yeah, so basically, you have to deploy it, again and again. That's the only challenge if you're not making use of CI/CD pipeline.
Yeah, I was just wondering because most of the developers won't have the access to production system to deploy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like CI, what Vishal mentioned is absolutely right. And CI/CD pipeline Jenkins is the way. I mean, what most say industry standard way of DevOps works. But also, what Mohit said, if you don't have a what you call mature DevOps teams as such, there is an alternative to deploy it using manual commands. But yeah, if you want it from a sustainable development, global development perspective, multiple teams working on it, multiple deployments during the day, it has to be automated using the pipelines. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, so okay, I think many services are deployed. Let's see. So I'll go to my dev space and let's see how many service instances we have. Okay, so if if you go to a dev space and you click upon this applications, you can find your, apps. Yeah, so we have the main app, basically the app router, and then you have this DB deployer. Yeah, so you see the status of this is stopped. So the whole point of this, individual microservice DB deployer was to just deploy your artifacts to the database, and then it just gets stopped. Yeah, we don't need this, right? So that's why it's smart enough to be stopped. Yeah, after it has deployed your artifacts, it will be stopped. And then last one is your OData service. So let's see if things are working. Yeah, looks fine. And let's go to this app, and this is a route, basically the endpoint of that app microservice. And let's see. Yeah, metadata loads. Even the entities are working fine. Yeah, looks fine. And now let's check the the app router. So basically, if you go to app router, I will go to my app. Yeah, and if you go to uh, your access app.json. So I didn't explain, but yeah, I'll explain it after this also. But yeah, let me just tell you. So you see, you have this access app.json file is the starting point, yeah, wherein you will define all of your routes. Yeah, you will say, okay, moment you say slash office supply slash web app slash index.html, please route it to the UI, right? Moment you say slash office, let's say you give your OData service endpoint name, then it should go to my OData service, right? So you give all of your routes over here in the access app.json. So far, you see the routes is blank, and the only thing which we have is the welcome file. So it will basically go to this. This is the manifest ID, yeah, office supplies. It will directly go to your web app. Let's see if it works. It was working locally, we also, but yeah, let's see if it works in the Cloud Foundry. You say it is trying to load your index, and it also is doing authentication. I'll come to it later on, but let's, because I'm already logged in. Yeah, so it loads the app. And so let me come to the point now. So yeah, it will not load. If you just inspect and you just go to the console, you will find some errors, and you see over here, right? So it's not able to load the metadata, right? Because you have not defined the route. So what is happening? So if you just say refresh and do, let's put a filter on dollar. Yeah, metadata. Basically, it will make use of the metadata of this project. So you see it went in error, right? It says 404 not found. So it is trying to go to this path and load the metadata, which it's not able to find. Yeah. So then what you have to do is define this path, right? So let's just close this tab and come back. Now we need to define the routes, right? So yeah, I'll copy from here, hopefully. Okay, fine. I'll copy from. Just a second. So we just need to define those routes, right? And yeah, so I'll put it as none. So we don't want any authentication for the time being. Yeah. So what we are saying, authentication method is route. So whatever authentication method you have defined in the route, that will have, that will be taking place. So I'm saying, moment you hit this office supplies, office hyphen supplies, right? This was your OData service URL pattern, right? So anything which has office hyphen supplies, please go to this destination. And I don't want any authentication. For rest, just go to my office supplies, basically this one. So now some of you might be confused, what is this service? So actually what's happening, like I said earlier, so your app is getting deployed as an HTML5 app. So it is picking your app from this service will be hosting your app, so it is picking up from there. Yeah. So, and we say srv hyphen API, right? This is our destination name. So far we have not defined, right? So let's just go to your empty YAML. Yeah, and we need to add this. So your app router will make use of this destination. So where do we have this app router? Yeah, this one, right? Yeah, so it needs, okay, this is the one, this this destination is basically for loading up of your UI5 libraries, right? But yeah, we are not worried about this. So what I will do, okay, let me take enough from there. So you see, you need to add this name service API. So this is the same name which we have defined in the access_app.json, right? And given these things. Yeah, so let me just copy. Okay, so I have in the code and I will add that over here. Yeah, so we are saying, okay, I mean, it's a little tricky to, do this. Maybe I put it in the wrong place. Yeah, it should not be here. It should be after destination. Yeah, over here. So, okay, let me align this. It's a little tricky to, do it. So name properties. So let me just align it. And my group is destination. Yeah, I'll show you in the UI editor also. Oh, I think again I put it wrong. It should be after this. Not here. After this, yeah. Yeah. So name properties, I think looks fine now. Yeah. So we are saying, so moment someone comes to this route, it has to go to the destination, and this is the same thing, SRV-API, right? You can also give SRV-backend. Some people give -backend, and it's fine. And then it is making use of SRV-API. So every destination, you will have two properties at least, name and URL, right? So where it has to go and what will be the URL, right? So now if you see, it's little dynamic, right? So where have we this SRV-API, right? So this destination SRV-API and the URL is defined by your Odata service. So if you see it, it is providing you a variable name called SRV-API, and this is a URL SRV-URL, right? So name and SRV-URL. That is what we are saying over here. Yeah, name SRV-API and URL is this, right? So if it is little confusing, let's check it in the like nice little UI which is only there in the bash. So I will just say open with empty editor, right? So this is a little easy to understand. So let me go to my app router and I just added this particular destination, right? Name, URL, right? And this forward auth token. I'll come to this, what is auth token once we add authentication, but we need name and URL, right? And where are we getting this name and URL from? From your Odata service. Yeah, here you go. Name SRV API, and this is your URL. Yeah. Okay, so our access app is fine. We have added in the, yeah. Then now again, let's build it. And if you don't believe, let me just delete the earlier MTA so that we do it from the scratch. You can always use the command line interface for the for deployment part, for the build and deployment both. Okay, and let's just see. So we now the Fiori app should work. Let's see. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can ask me. If you not understood anything. Okay, we didn't see one more thing last time, when we deployed it, right? Does our database actually have the content, right? Let's see that. So this is a database explorer, it's already available in the Cloud Foundry. Yeah, let's add our database. You say plus, and yeah, this is the one, right? Our name, our database name will be your project name -db, right? Which it has automatically created. So let's just use this container and say, okay. Yeah, and let's go to the tables. And yeah, it has created, you see, product, suppliers, currencies, right? And these are the exact fields what we had in our entities, right? So let's just check the content also. Yeah, I see it has the content, right? So even, our HANA database is working fine. It has the content. Okay, so now it has done. Let's just deploy it.
Sorry if you have covered this earlier, but so the tables got created like by this um, container or the service that we have created, or we had uploaded like a CSV earlier.
So what happened is, so when you upload the CSV, right? So, it is, I mean, if you're doing it locally, you say CDS watch. So it will take your content from the CSV and deploy it to the SQLite database, right? But, if you're talking about HANA database, then definitely you have to deploy your MTAR. Then only, the HANA database will have values. So I'll show you, maybe let me show you one more thing. Let's
But
go to,
but then it's again taking the values from CSV and deploying to HANA, right?
yes, yes, yes. So if you, okay, I'll also show you one more cool thing. So if you do CDS, if you want to understand, what's happening, if you say CDS compile and you say DB and you want to understand, okay, what's happening, so if you see in this DB, all of your entities were defined in the schema file, right? Correct. So if you want to understand how is the SQL getting generated, you can just say to SQL. Yeah. And then it will compile the things for you. You see, it will basically moment you deploy, it will do the CDS compilation, and these commands will be getting executed. Yeah, I mean you can do it for HANA also. It's SQL. Yeah, so you can say if you just say HANA, it will show you the HANA specific commands. Uh, okay, maybe I'm getting it wrong. It's not HANA, but yeah, I mean similar thing will be getting done for your HANA database also. Maybe it's to HANA or something else.
So it's like reading your file on the fly, or it's more like no, it's creating a copy and creating those views, linking those like as entities, and then like reading.
Yeah, it is creating on the fly. So moment you deploy, it reads your
Mhm.
your schema CDS file, and then it converts it into this SQL and then deploys. So it is redoing it. Definitely,
Oh,
there are
okay.
options where you can
Mhm.
individually deploy because you have not changed the database. You would not like it to be redeployed, right? But yeah, I'm not going in those specific details. You
Yeah,
can always deploy individual microservice.
got it. And this is not like federating that data from like Excel, like say if you have to make it more dynamic, say whatever gets loaded in Excel.
Yeah, so whatever you have it in the CSV, that will also be
Mhm.
getting deployed.
Okay. And then say if the CSV changes over time, then that too will change. Like,
Yeah, usually you will do it in your dev for your own testing
Mhm.
because quality will have the real data. So you will not
Yeah,
have,
okay.
those CSV files there. Yeah.
CSVs, yeah, got it.
Okay.
Vishal, question. The
Yeah, sure.
the watch will always automatically update the tables once the CSV changes, right?
Yes, yes. CDS watch
So
will run your whole project. Yes.
right. So that's kind of an advantage in case you want to play around with data and you don't have to do any inserts or create any test data. Just manipulate your CSVs, and
Yes,
that
and
should be
it's
enough to automatically upload or rather get your data in your tables automatically using the
yes,
watch.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Thanks. Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
like another service that you have to have in your application, like we did it, like embed it, and then it
So
does make
service
that
as
available.
you're saying CDS watch as service.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no. If you, I mean, CDS, whatever commands you write, remember CDS compile, CDS run, CDS watch, CDS init, right? They're all CDS command lines, right? CDS commands basically. You don't need to do anything for that. Just that in your project, once you do CDS init initially, right, it has a dependency on your CDS development kit. So initially we did CDS init, right? So after that, it will every command of CDS will work if you have this in your project in the dependencies.
Oh, okay. So I think we had a command like CDS watch. That's why it will replicate the data automatically. That's what. Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah, internally it would be doing that. Yes, once you are,
Hmm.
deploying your mtar file, yeah, that CDS development kit will be coming into picture. Okay, so now let's go to the app. Okay, let's see if it loads. Yeah, you see, it's loading, and if you say go, now your app is working even in, Cloud Foundry, right? And there is one issue, there is no security, right? So if if somebody, because this is your starting point, right? Nobody should be, as an end user, nobody should be worried about this. He should not be authorized to access this, right? So right now, if someone just wants to have a look at my data, he can always come to this service, and he can just go to the data directly, right? There is no authentication happening, right? It should be, every only possible way to access your to access your app is through the app router, right? Only through that microservice. So we should not allow anyone to just browse the data through the service, right? So that is going to be our next step. So okay, so now, so before we go to there, so I just want to again tell you more about app router, yeah, and access UA. So app router, we know it's basically your entry point for your app. And then you have one more module known as access UA, right? Not a module, it's a microservice, yeah, given by SAP. So access UA and app router, they both work, together. Okay. So what will happen? Let's say you're an end user and you say, okay, I want to access my, let's say, Odata service, right? This sample app, assume it to be your Odata service. Yeah. So you want to access the Odata, right? And then what will happen is you will give in your credentials, and app router will take those credentials. Okay, it will force you for login. So it will take your credentials, and then it will give those credentials to this access UA service. Okay, and what is the job of access UA service? The job of access UA service is just to give the joe tokens or the o tokens, right? So this token will be then forwarded to your app or your data service, so that you as an end user are authorized to access. Okay, so app router, so you access your app by app router. App router goes to access UA. Access UA gives the joe tokens or the auth tokens. Same are handed over to app router, and then app router forwards those auth tokens to the actual endpoint, to the actual microservice. It can be a data service, it can be a Fiori. Okay, this is also I just wanted to brief about. So now we'll just authenticate. Yeah. Okay, I hope we have enough time. I'm not sure where we are because this is going to be last step, authentication and authorization. What time is
Yes,
it?
Vishal,
Okay,
you can
Yes,
continue
let's
for
please carry
15.
on.
okay, okay. So now, we just saw how does access UA service and app router work, together. So we need to make it access UA. Access UA generates a joe token, and app router passes those joe tokens to all the microservices, yeah, to all the endpoints. So now, before we you go to access UA, what you have to do, you need to install 3 modules. Okay, so what is our goal now? So right now, you don't have to log in, right? You're directly just going there, and anybody is able to access our app, right? There is no authentication happening. So for authentication to happen, obviously we need to make use of access UA, which I'll show you how you can make use of access UA service. And apart from that, you need these 3 Node.js modules: passport, access sec, and access env. Okay, so I mean, if you want to test it locally, you can just use the passport module, but because we are going to test it via the Cloud Foundry, you need these 2 special modules, yeah, given by SAP: access sec and access env. Again, you can go to npm.js and read more. Yeah, so I don't want to go into too deep, right? So let's just install uh, these 3 modules. Yeah, so I will go to my project and npm install passport, uh, access sec, and access env. So it has installed. Yeah, you see access sec, access env, and passport. Yeah, for the authentication. Now, what is the next step? We want to, we want to control our OData service access, right? So for that, you need to go to your OData service CDS definition and add this annotation. Yeah. So basically, what it is saying, you need an authenticated user. So I will go to my service, and I will not like to type in. So I'll just go over here, and yeah, it's a small annotation, but yeah, still I'll just quickly copy. Yeah, you need to add this annotation to your service. Okay, so you have added your. So we are saying that whoever comes in, he needs to be an authenticated user. Okay, so this is the first thing, and the next, moment he authenticates, we need to pass the JOT token to our, to our individual endpoint, right? For example, load data service. So we should say access UA, right? So that the JOT token is passed to this or data service endpoint. Yeah. And then we also need to change our manifest. Yeah. So we need to say, because we are trying to restrict the access to our OData service, right? So I need to go to my OData service, yeah, and just say I am making use of this UAA service. Yeah. So where this UA service instance is coming, because when we had initially added the app router, we said that we want to add authentication later on, right? So it had already, provided the service instance name that point of time, right? So I will go to my MTML, and yeah, this one. So I think it should be demo to UA, but let me just check the service demo to DB, not this one. Yeah, this one, UA underscore demo 2, right? This is our authentication and authorization service instance. So here I'll add name. So it needs this module now, right? And let's just, same thing, build it. So now what will happen, after I deploy this app, so someone tries to access this service, he will not be authorized. Yeah, because he's directly trying to reach there. The only possible way of going to the service is through app router. Yeah. So if someone tries to reach this endpoint directly, yeah, he's not going via app router. This access app.json comes into picture if you go it via the app router. So only if you try to reach to either of these 2 endpoints, then only you will be authorized. Yeah. If you try to directly load the data service endpoint or the route, it will not allow you. That's the whole objective. So again, going to take some time. Okay, done. Let's just deploy. So let's see. I will go to my, sorry, dev space I have to go. So you see service instances have also increased, right? So if I go to, these are my apps, and if you go to instances, you will see all the service instances. Yeah, you see I have HTML, uh, runtime and repo host, and you see access UA, right? So it is binded to our application. So you see it's binded to our app router. Yeah, so basically app router and access UA, are working for our app. So let it get deployed. I'll go back to applications. So what will happen is Odata service endpoint directly you can't access, but if you come from the app, you can access. So basically your Fiori app will be able to talk to the Odata service. So your Fiori app should work fine.
So Vishal, this access UA instance, is it carrying something specific to application apart from it's getting bound there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's bound to our application. I mean,
Yes.
so if you go to, I mean, what I didn't get your whole question, but yeah,
So what
overall,
I'm trying to understand is that for, I mean, if we have to deploy multiple applications, will you create multiple access UA instances or you can reuse one?
no, you can reuse. You can reuse. It's just about the binding, right? You'll have you see it has one now. Previously it was only app router, right? Now I think the deployment has worked. It has added your service also. You can add multiple things.
Okay. Okay. Because then when you bind it, you give the service key as well, right? I don't, because uh,
Uh,
probably
yeah,
CAP has done
it,
it
yeah.
itself,
If
right?
if you use service key, if for example, default env.json file, right? If
Hmm.
if you want to make it, then if you have to do it in some other application, you can create multiple service key. So service key is nothing but the credential to act to
Hmm.
come, to be able to use this. Yeah, in your app, if you want to talk to this, you need to make use of service key.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe this does not need service keys. Let's see the other one, destination service. Yeah, here also. Yeah, and basically use service keys, if you want to make use of the credentials for talking to this service. Let's say you have another app, like you said, right? In that app, you want to talk to this, you want to make use of this service instance, you need to create one more service key.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I think it is done. Yeah. Now if you open the service, and okay, it didn't launch at least here. So let's see if you open metadata and you get this unauthorized, right? Similarly, you can't access the data now. Yeah, but Fiori app should be able to do via the app router. So previously it was failing because of metadata issue. And you say go and it works, right? So all the Joe tokens are passed on to your Fiori app as well as to the Odata service via the app router. Yeah, that's what we have defined in the Access app. Okay, so one final step is to add authorization, right? So far, if you are an authenticated user, basically if you're holding an account in this global account, right? If you're a user of you're subscribed to this global account, you are able to access, right? But now I want to even restrict that. Yeah. So what I'll do is I will basically, if you see, I have, so how does authorization work? it makes use of scopes and role templates. Yeah, so scopes are nothing but your individual authorization. So, for example, read, write, right? So basically individual authorization. And then out of those scopes, you create something known as role templates. Yeah. So one role template will have scopes in that. And this role template is nothing but your actual role. Yeah. So role templates will be used once you deploy it, it will basically create a role. Yeah. So using those roles, you can assign it to your user. Okay, there is this hierarchy. So maybe I'll show you in real time, but yeah, overall. So you have scopes and role templates make use of those scopes. And then via the role templates at runtime in Cloud Foundry, it will create those roles. And those roles should be assigned to your individual user. Now, actually, these roles are not directly assigned to user. There is something as role collection. You're just basically wrapping up your roles. You're collecting those roles in role collection. So you add your roles in role collection, and ultimately you assign role connection to the user. Yeah, so that's what we want to do via this uh, authorization now. Okay, so let's just go back, and I will come to my okay. Not this. Let me close everything. I'll come to my service, and I will maybe I'll just copy it over here. Okay. So previously we just had the authentication. Now we are also adding the authorization. Okay. So now if you see, I have added this restrict annotation. Yeah, that's the only thing which has been added in this products entity as well as in the suppliers entity. Yeah, but how does this authorization work is via this access security file. Yeah, so if you go to access security file, currently there is only one scope. As long as you're authenticated, you can access anything, right? Now we just want to update this access security file via these scopes and roles. Yeah. So how do you do? So very easy. Again, CDS compile and then my SRE folder. So whatever is there in this, I want to compile it in terms of access UAA. Yeah. Okay. Maybe let me show you over here what will happen. So moment you do this, it will generate this kind of thing. Yeah. So but I don't want to copy paste. Rather, what I will do, I will just put it into a file. So just given this arrow, basically you want to output the content of this command to a file. So my file name is access-security.json. Yeah. Now let's see if our access security.json got updated. And here you go, right? It has added products viewer, all those scopes and roles. Yeah. So now if someone is having this products viewer or product manager, these roles, then only he can accordingly take the action. So what we are saying, so whoever is having products viewer role, he can only read, while whoever is having products manager role, he can write. Okay. But I will show just the products viewer thing because in our app we are only displaying, right? So I will again build again and redeploy. So previously you were able to access the app, right? Now that I have added this authorization, I should not be able to. I mean, app should be accessible. Furia will be opening, but moment you hit go, you will not be able to see the data because you need to have this role assigned. Yeah. So moment it deploys, it will actually create roles. Yeah. So let's see if I go to my and roles, role collection, they are available at your sub account level. Yeah. So if you go to roles, and it's deploying, hopefully it has not created so far. Okay, sorry, we just created, right? We have not deployed. Yeah. So now if you see, you don't see anything like products viewer and products manager. Yeah, you can also filter. Okay, I'll just search over here. Yeah, you don't see anything, right? So now I will deploy this. So it will, so what is happening now? So it will make use of this access security.json file, and it will create those roles. I mean, you could have created this file manually, but because we are using CDS, so it's very easy. So one more thing, there's something like attribute references. So I'm not making use of attributes, but then it will make it a little complex. So, over here, let's say you want to restrict for a particular product. Yeah, you can also give in that individual product ID, basically at row level. Yeah, at row level, at field level, if you want to restrict, you can make use of attributes. Okay.
Vishal, this kind of like application or service would mainly used like say earlier business users would use T codes. So now instead of that, I mean, it would be the
Yeah.
job of the team to have these apps deployed in the like
Yeah,
platform
exactly. So
cloud platform,
in
right?
usually what you will do, you will make use of Fury Launchpad. So Fury Launch, like we used to have, right? So Fury Launchpad as a service is also available in Cloud Foundry. So you can make use of that. Okay. So basically in that Fury Launchpad you can give in your this route, right? Your app router. Yeah. If you're making use of standalone app router. I mean, the next possible thing which SAP is making, which SAP is suggesting to go for managed app router. That is very easy. You don't even need to create app router. It will be handled centrally by the Cloud Foundry. Yeah. So there you can make use of the Fury Launchpad service, because nobody would like to give these URLs, right? Otherwise, we'll have so many URLs, right, for the end user.
Exactly.
Okay.
So these are more like individual applications, which is more like custom requested by user. But
Yeah.
otherwise, this would not be catering to the needs of say analytics or say any of those reporting purpose or that is done by BW or AFO or any of those SAC tools.
I mean, this is a full stack, app, right? So you want to do analytics, you need to create accordingly those annotations, right, in your service level, right? So it's basically, it's just a URL, right? It's just an endpoint
Hmm.
which you have to give. So whoever wants to consume, be it in Fury app, be it in analytics, they can use, right?
Got it, got it. So one can do all those things also here, like in terms of visualization or
I have not worked much on, analytics side via CAPM, but think it should be possible.
okay.
If as long as, see, those view support, those annotations.
Mhm. So what's the main business application of this? Like, I'm sure you must have covered this earlier, but just to while we
This is like a your Fury app, right? This is a cloud
okay,
native app which is getting built
mhm,
in your cloud foundry environment,
right,
and anybody
okay,
all over the world can access this from your
yeah,
mobile
and
phone
even over
anywhere.
the phone they can.
Yeah, it's just a URL, like you open
Okay.
Amazon.com. It's as simple as that. So did it create? Yeah, you see?
So,
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so for our application, demo two, we have these roles, right? Products viewer, manager, all those things, right? Now the next step is to create the role collection and assign it to the user. So I will just create a viewer role collection, right? Which will have products viewer and supplier viewer as a role. So just click upon this, and maybe I'll just say office supplies. It's just a viewer role, right? Whoever wants to access the our app data. Okay. And in this role collection, okay, where did it go? Yeah. So in this one, I will add the roles. Okay. Before we do that, let's check if things are working, right? So I will just take this URL and open it in new incognito. Yeah. Because previously you were able to access, right? Let's see. Now that we've added, authorization also, let's see what happens. So app should load, but I should not be able to access the data, right? Okay. So you see, it is asking you and that, access UA, right? Service is asking you for authentication now, right? So I'll just give in my email ID and it has my password. Yeah. So I mean, we'll come to this step later on, but yeah, let's first see. Yeah, so our app is loading. Yeah, but we have put restrictions on accessing the data, right? All those roles. And if I say go, you see you're getting forbidden. Yeah. So now the final step is to have the roles assigned to our user. So let's create a role collection and I mean, there's something like application identifier, basically your app name. So it was demo 2. I'll add just these two roles and I will give in my email ID. Okay. And I'll just say save. Yeah. So let's see now. I will close this. And again, I'll take this route. So now that I have got the proper authorization, let's see if I'm able to view the data. Okay, it will again, it should ask us for login. Yeah. So previously we're getting forbidden. Now let's see. And it works. Yeah, you see, the full app is working with authentication and authorization. Okay, I think, yeah, I'm done. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll stop sharing.
Yes, any question, guys?
Can you share those files and the app which you developed?
Yeah. I'll share. You want, I mean, PPT and source code, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So maybe Gaurav, if we have some link, I'll put in
Yes,
there.
you can just send me the PPT, and
Okay.
then we have the GitHub as well. You can just deploy your code to GitHub, the one you developed now. We can share
Okay.
that
Sure.
link as well.
So
Sure.
how do we connect in case we get issues during the same app development practice? Like, so how can we approach? I mean, if we stuck for your guidance.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
it.
mean,
I don't know. It's up to the Vishal, but he's not a the
see, I'm
technical.
not an expert on this. Maybe Mohit
Okay.
is also there. So I can, when whatever if I have some time, definitely I'll surely help wherever
Sure.
possible. So I have not also built a lot of apps,
Of
right?
course, we don't need your time definitely. In case if it's like some small guidance and all required,
Yeah.
then on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just try it out. I think if you just follow the steps, at
Okay.
least you'll have some idea. Obviously there are a lot of advanced concepts, custom handlers, like I was telling in the beginning, right? So
Yeah.
consuming external services, all those things are also there. But at least you'll
So
have some idea.
so in case of consuming external services, I think we don't need this schema CDS, right? I mean, whatever you have defined the
Yeah,
schema.
so I have used it once. So if I remember, yeah. So basically, what happens when you're consuming external services? Uh, okay, there's something known as CSN file.
Yeah.
So
It,
basically, it just needs your OData service. Yeah, your basically metadata, and then it will create a CSN file. Yes, you don't need any schema CDS
so
as such.
so in that case, like in the cloud environment, you have deployed into HANA. I mean, in our session, right? In current session, you have
Yeah.
deployed into HANA. So when we consume external services,
Mhm.
do we need to deploy that app also into HANA? I mean, will it require
I
to
mean,
create any?
it depends upon the use case. If you are extending the data model further, you will have to, right? If you are
Okay,
just, doing some logic change, that is a different story. Then you don't need to.
okay, so it is not mandated to deploy into any DB at all. We always deploy it.
So, for example, if there is some custom field which you want to, let's say change the logic, right? So you can do
Mhm.
it very well through the custom handler. You don't need to make use of all the HANA artifacts. I mean, it
Okay,
depends upon the use case again.
okay. So do we see any session on external consuming? I mean, consuming external services further? Any session?
Hopefully, somebody else will nominate for sure.
Okay.
I mean, it's only thing is, when you do it real time, it might not work, right? And
Okay.
getting a system also is a challenge, right? And if you have some,
Yeah,
system,
S4 I have, S4 server I have, 1909 server I have.
okay, yeah, but then
Yeah.
we need all those cloud connectors if it's, behind the firewall. If it's not, then
No,
you can.
it's a sandbox only. No, I mean no firewalls, nothing.
Okay, okay,
We
great.
simply access any at anywhere.
Yeah, I would suggest you give a seminar after this. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, everybody will learn, right?
yeah, definitely. If you help me a bit I mean create a ramp, definitely once
Yeah,
I'm able
sure.
to achieve it, then definitely I'll showcase the same. Yeah,
Okay, sure.
yeah, yeah. So that's the reason like I'm requesting like any possibility to connect with you for any queries where we stuck.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, sure. You can connect.
Yeah,
Yep, I think that's a really amazing session. Thank you, Vishal. I think this is one session we have attended which is like comprehensive end to end. You have even covered access UA and all. Amazing. So I think I will have to go through the recording again to digest many of the concepts that I have learned. And I think this recording will be gone through again by many people because I think it was very well presented. Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thanks, Gaurav. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, yeah. True, true. Thanks a lot, Vishal, because it's an end-to-end app development, including security. So
yeah,
really, really amazing part. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically on the same lines, it was really amazing session, Vishal. You have covered almost everything from end to end, even the app router stuffs you have means covered so well. It is really, I really appreciate for your means and the way you had to put all the things step by step in the PPT in very kind of, I would say, kind of very simple English. It was amazing way of the presentation.
Yeah, I mean, I
Thank
just
you, Vishal.
wanted to keep the concepts, because I was also an ABAPer and UI fan, now this Node.js, right? So I understand the pain points of people. Yeah, it's not very clearly written. Definitely, you can follow all the blocks and you will gain more insights. But this was, how to get started. Now I think you can explore the world, the whole CAP world.
Vishal, a question. Uh, like, what will be the most preferred way, like going forward with SAP? RAP for creating Fury apps, or they will just shift focus to like this CAPM?
Yeah, I mean, I know both. So rap, yeah, I learned because see, I'm originally an ABAPer, right? So I had to learn that. So cap I learned out of my interest and then I started using and I started liking it. But one way I would say, rap is lacking is in terms of this microservices concept, right? You're again clubbing your, it's ultimately if you're using rap, you're using the whole S4 cloud layer, right? It's typical thing, right? A app database, you can do anything, right? So you're again clubbing all of these things together apart from the UI. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it depends, I mean, it also depends upon the developers, right? So what they prefer. But this is very flexible, right? The moment you have, like, for example, the scenarios which you're saying, if you have to make use of other third party, I mean, not third party, I mean other npm modules, right? So that is very much possible over here. I don't know. Okay, see, I hear. It's fine. So, you can't have any third party, right? It's all proprietary then, right? Whatever is given supported by SCP, right? Over here, you can explore. You want to make use of You don't believe in this access UA. You build your, you use your own password strategies, right? There are so many things. You want to authenticate via Google, Google login, via Facebook login, via LinkedIn login, right? So whole such possibilities are here.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, in CAPM we have third parties APIs also like usage, but in Grab, it will be a lot difficult to
Yeah,
use.
yeah. So what happens, I'll tell you one more thing. So SAP, what SAP is trying, I mean, it's trying to make our life easier. So in CAP, they have, if you're writing your custom handlers code, there's something, I don't know what the CDS query language, yeah, that's the exact term. So they use CDS CQL or CQL, CQD, whatever, right? So it's ultimately are working with CDS layer. They don't want you to interact, and start writing insert or all those statements. Similar thing happens in RAP also. So that way they're also similar. So in RAP, you must have heard about EML, right? Entity Manipulation Language.
Mhm.
I mean, at least this is what I, saw. So EML is here CQL, right? So, similar things. It's just about, which framework you want to learn.
Yes, because I was asking it because in right now I know only UI5, CDS, and like creating Fury apps using CDS. So not much
So
on
if I would say,
RAP or CAPM.
if you are more of a front-end developer, you can very well learn this. It will be easy for you. If you are a BAP guy, you know, uh, then definitely rap will be easier for you. But I think nowadays, only thing which is consistent in SAP, I said it during the last, STEMI session also, is the UI, right? Everything else you don't know which framework is better. So at least if if you trying to become a full stack developer, you know, uh, then rap is also an equal way. Rap or cap, both are equal.
Okay. And one more question. Have you tried using CAP with like any other framework instead of Fury, like going to deploy to Fury? Have you used it with any other UI technologies or something like that? You stated in the start that you
Yeah,
can
I
use it,
have.
but
I mean, when initial days, I mean, when I was learning, Node.js, I saw some templating engines. Okay, basically HTML thing. I have not worked upon React and Vue. But yeah,
okay.
definitely, I've seen a lot of demos where people are using Vue.js, right? So it
So
is
like
compatible.
people will switch out from Fury to these or not. That is a kind of concern for UI5 developers right now because as it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
getting more and more open, then like
Only thing is,
only the
only thing is,
backend
it's.
and
I mean,
schema
yeah,
and
only
CDS
one.
will be there. Hmm? Sorry.
Yeah, one more thing. So if you are making, if your end users are using Fury Launchpad, right? So and they would be using Fury, right? Then it makes sense to go for Fury UIs, right? Why to give them another UI to get used to?
Yeah, that is what we are right now saying. But currently, if a client wants like a lot of customization, then they may go to Vue or React or any other language. I don't know. I mean, I haven't got any such things. I'm just thinking out.
Yeah, neither do I. I have also not seen, React and Vue being used by SAP clients. Maybe it's their choice.
Yes,
Okay.
Fury makes sense here. Yeah. Okay, we are almost at the end of time. Yeah, in fact, we passed that time, but it was really amazing session, Vishal. So, like Vishal has helped all of us to understand CAP and what came forward. My request to other guys as well, you pick up any topic and please present here in this forum. Yeah, and it could be any topic. We are not only for BTP here. Yeah, we are very much interested in S/4HANA topics. Yeah, because that's where most of the people are working. So if any
Great,
one
great
of you
session, Vishal.
want,
Yeah.
Thank you.
so if any one of you want to present something in the next session, please contact us, myself, Mohit, Akash, any one of us. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Vishal, I suggest you have some hands-on session for your team in your organization.
Yeah, sure, Gaurav. Maybe I'll give this link there.
Yeah, don't give link, earn some recognition.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay, and I'm just I will just stop the recording, but I would just say, you know, you have something